Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the EPF studio. Today we will be introducing Pro Bono. And with us today we have Nonkululeko Spambato. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Nonkululeko is an admitted attorney who began her career as an intern at Lawyers Against Abuse after completing her law studies at Rhodes University. She later joined Msidisi Ndlovu and Sedumedi attorneys as a candidate attorney and later on as an associate specializing in commercial litigation, construction law, and family law. In 2022, she returned to Lawyers Against Abuse as a legal officer providing free legal services to victims of gender-based violence. She is currently completing her LLM in human rights law. Nonkululeko is passionate about human rights law and ensuring that legal services are accessible to vulnerable and marginalized members of society. Her areas of professional interest are in the sexual and reproductive rights of young women, legal research, and family law-related issues. Nonkululeko, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling okay.
You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. It's a Monday morning, as good as a Monday morning can feel.
Well, I have to say, you're looking very cheerful considering that it is a Monday. So let's just dive right into it. Could you please tell me what is probono.org?
Okay, so probono.org is an NGO. We offer free legal services to marginalized members of our community.
Mm-hmm.
And we do this by using a clearinghouse model.
Okay.
So essentially, we engage attorneys, private attorneys, to provide pro bono legal services.
Mm-hmm.
We call it pro bono, but it's free legal services
Yeah.
to members of our community who can't afford them.
Okay,
Yes.
and when was Pro Bono founded? Who was it founded by? What was the motivation to start up this NGO?
Okay. We were founded in 2006 by Odette Geldenhuys. She's an attorney. She's actually on our board
Okay.
at the moment. And the purpose of founding probono.org was really to engage private legal practitioners to say, look, we have this problem in society. A huge majority of our community members can't afford legal services,
Yeah.
right? And there are attorneys who are interested in providing pro bono legal services, but they don't know where to start. Where do you find the clients? Where do you start? Where do you go looking? And that's the idea really behind probono.org.
Okay, great. So you guys are act as a middleman identifying the legal practitioners who are
Yes.
willing and able, and then the members of society who then need it.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And exactly what services do you provide? I mean, what areas of the law do you cover?
We cover a number of services. So we cover family law.
Mm-hmm.
We do labor as well. Deceased estates, we call it masters.
Okay.
We also do deeds. So that's
Okay.
property-related matters.
Yes.
Refugee law and housing. And then we also assist in drafting of wills on a pro bono basis.
Okay.
Police brutality, medical negligence. Yeah, I think that's
Wow, so this is quite a broad bouquet
It
of
is.
services
It
that
is.
you guys delve into. And which areas do you emphatically not deal with?
So because we focus specifically on civil matters,
Yes.
we don't deal with criminal matters,
Okay.
and we don't deal with the commercial type of matters,
Okay.
with the exception of the project that we have with our SMMEs.
Okay.
Yeah, but commercial disputes, we don't deal with them.
Okay, great. And so does this mean that you specifically look at individuals, or do you also take on class acts if they're a civil matter? You do.
So we focus specifically on individuals. So I guess
Okay.
the distinction that Pro Bono has from other organizations that provide similar legal service is we focus on an individual, someone with a legal problem that's not really strategic. It doesn't require them to go to the constitutional court, for instance, but they
Okay.
do have a legal problem and they do need a solution to that problem.
Okay.
Sometimes people do come in groups, particularly with our labor matters.
Mm-hmm.
People have been striking, they were unfairly dismissed, but it was a protected strike.
Okay.
So we assist in that.
Okay.
We do have some strategic litigation matters where we are offering support, but those matters we refer to other NGOs or law firms that do have the capacity to deal with those matters.
Okay, wonderful. And earlier you mentioned that probono.org uses a clearinghouse model.
Yes.
What does that mean? Break it down for us non-legal, jargon-speaking people.
So essentially the clearinghouse model is one avenue to provide access to justice. So clients come to our offices, we screen their matters, we do an assessment, so we have intake sheets for different clinics,
Yes.
and then we gather certain information from the client. Do they meet our means test? Do they have all the documentation? Does their matter have prospects of success?
Okay.
We also assess some matters someone just needs to go to a specific department to get assistance.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need an attorney.
Okay.
And then we package those matters so that when the attorneys get those matters, they're already packaged. They don't have to reconsult with the client. They don't have to ask for documentation. It's just easy for the client because we are accessible, and easy for the attorney so that they get a packaged matter.
Okay, great. So you just have all the information, all the documentation that they need, and you just like, please represent them.
Yes.
Okay, great. And could you explain a little bit more about Section 34 of the Constitution
Okay.
and why that's important?
So Section 34 is quite aligned to access to justice, or rather gives effect to access to justice.
Okay.
So Section 34 of our Constitution provides that anyone who has a matter that can be resolved through the law should be able to access the courts, right?
Okay.
It's a constitutional right
Yes.
that you're able to go to court and say, look, I have this legal matter and I need a solution. I need a presiding officer to decide on something or to enforce my rights.
Yes.
And that's a huge part of accessing justice, right? Accessing justice is being able to access the courts.
Yes.
The difficulty is that a layperson can't just walk into the court and say, I have this problem, magistrate, you solve it for me. They have to follow a specific
Process. Yes.
And that's where you engage private attorneys.
Okay.
And that's where we come in.
Okay, great. And you mentioned so people come to you and then you start looking at if they fit the criteria of whether or not you can help them. You mentioned there a means test.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
So means test is you either have to earn below a certain threshold. The value of your property, if you own property, has to be below a specific threshold. And if it's not, then we have to assess whether your matter is in the interest of justice. So you might earn above our threshold, but you might be a single-headed household. Or your expenses, when we do the calculation, you're left with very little money at the end of the month. You couldn't possibly afford legal services.
Okay.
Yeah.
So case memos and briefs, I imagine this forms part of your package that you hand over. So what does that mean?
So a case memo we do for attorneys, and then briefs are for advocates.
Okay.
So a case memo would be done after we've assessed the matter.
Yeah.
So let's say you meet our means test. We believe your matter has prospects of success. It hasn't prescribed. You've come in time. We then do a case memo. So it's essentially how we brief the attorneys or advocates. So by briefing you, we are giving you the facts. We're explaining the client's background, how they got to the situation. And the most important part is then we say, this is what they need assistance with.
Okay.
So institute divorce proceedings and draft the pleadings, or help them defend an eviction application.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's essentially we are instructing the attorneys or advocates what they need to do next to assist the client.
Okay, so you guys put in all of that kind of legwork to make things a little bit easier on the attorneys or advocates that you're partnered with?
Yes.
And so that also makes it a lot more desirable for them,
Absolutely,
less time consuming. Okay, great. And if I could just ask, what is the difference between an attorney and an advocate? Because you just mentioned a distinction between those two.
Okay, so the distinction is sort of slowly closing in. because now we're all considered legal practitioners.
Okay.
So before there was an Attorneys Act, which regulated how attorneys conduct themselves, and then there was different legislation for advocates, but we're all together now.
Okay.
But essentially, I guess the easiest way to explain it is that for the most part, attorneys do the legwork in the background. So you're doing the research. We don't always do the drafting, but the advocates are people who you see on TV in court arguing the case.
Okay.
And advocates offer more specialized services.
Okay.
So it's like, if you look at like doctors, we are your general practitioner.
Okay, and then your advocates would have been considered perhaps your surgeons or your pediatricians or that speciality.
Yes, so we're able
in that context.
Yeah,
okay.
So attorneys were able to assist, and some attorneys do appear. But once it becomes more specialized, or you're dealing with a specific matter, advocates are best placed to do that job.
Okay, and let's talk about the attorneys. How would they sign up? So you guys are making it as, let's not say easy, but you're trying to take as much of the legwork of it from them. So how, if there are attorneys interested, how would they sign up and join on to probono.org?
So we have a sign-up form.
Okay.
So in that form, the attorney would specify what specifically they would like to assist with.
Okay.
So over and above our clinics, we also conduct webinars for other attorneys. We also do community workshops.
Okay.
Attorneys could also staff our clinics. So in the sign-up form, they specify how exactly they can assist or offer their services. They give us their details as well, because we need to know what's their registration number, how long have they been practicing for, what their areas of expertise are. So we don't give them a housing matter when they want to focus on family, for instance.
Okay.
Yes.
And is there a certain criteria that your attorneys need to meet in order to be taken on by pro bono? I would imagine somebody with a 99% loss rate wouldn't be very attractive to the organization.
So you don't necessarily factor in loss rate. We don't really have that sort of system in South Africa.
Okay.
But they do have to be a registered attorney or registered advocate.
Okay.
And if they are a candidate attorney, then they can only sign onto our panel with if their supervisor is also going to be then assisting them. Because candidate attorneys work under supervision.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what happens when cases are referred back?
So when cases are referred back to pro bono, then we have to find other attorneys. So we have to do a reassessment. Was it referred back because the client wasn't complying? Was it referred back because the attorney wasn't complying? There's all sorts of factors that contribute to why matters are referred back.
So when matters are referred back, is this before they're taken to court?
It depends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it depends.
Okay, so it could be either or.
It could be either or.
Okay, it just depends on what happened.
Yeah, it depends on it.
Okay, great. And is there anything that you would like to say to the public or other attorneys in terms of what pro bono is looking for?
We'd really like to encourage our legal practitioners to join our panel.
Okay.
And there are various ways that they can assist in providing pro bono legal services. So if they don't want to take a matter on, which is our preferred option, right? But we understand that there are capacity constraints for some attorneys.
Yeah.
They can assist in community workshops.
Okay.
They can assist in legal webinars.
Yeah.
They can assist in drafting, for instance. Some attorneys just want to sit and draft. They don't want to consult with clients. We can package the matter for them and draft. For instance, they can just draft wills for us, which is very, very useful. And then what we'd really like for members of the public, we are donor funded.
Yeah.
So any sort of support we can get that allows us to do our work and that allows us to offer more services to people, right?
Yes.
That's really what we're asking for.
Okay, great. And at the moment, how many clinics, you mentioned the clinics, how many clinics does pro bono have and where are they? Are they offices that people walk into? What's the primary point of contact?
So the Johannesburg office works a little bit differently to the Durban and Cape Town office. So all of our clinics are run in our office, which is based at Constitution Hill. It's in Bloemfontein. So all of our clinics happen from the office, and then we have help desks.
Okay.
So our clinics run from Tuesday to Fridays. They're on an appointment basis.
Okay.
We do take walk-in clients and then assist them, but more often than not, if we can't assist them on the day, then we book them for another clinic.
Okay. And where would people be able to book those appointments?
So they can call our landline or do it via email on our info.
Okay, great.
Email, yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. We are with Pro Bono, and they are looking for sponsors. They are looking for legal practitioners to join them. And if you have a legal matter that falls within their scope of work, please give them a call or book an appointment on via email, and you can find all of those details in the bio. Thank you, Nkululeko. Have a wonderful day further.
Thank you so much, you too.